She said, "It grieves me so to see you in such pain. I wish there was something I could do to make you smile again." And in the shelter of my mind, through the window of my eyes, I gaze beyond the rain-drenched streets to England, where my heart lies. I have nothing else to say to this channel. I know that it's all sitting on me really heavy right now. I don't know. I want to say the futility of it all, but it was my fault. It was my fault. I didn't see what the movie is. I saw what I wanted it to be, like in that way. We're the same, you know. And so, I have no secrets. There's plenty I don't talk about. Anyway, I know that we're all lost. Costs me nothing to be alone, you know? I always tell people, no one ever taught me to be a man. And that's true. But when Quentin turned his back on me, I was reminded of my father and knew that I still had the Lord. So we both did the same thing, you know. I should have seen my mother, you know. I should have. He has the things that I need, you know. And while that's the lazy answer, sure, you know, I could also make that argument that I was working, I was helping my family as much as I could. The satanic apple, you know. It's, I was wise enough to see. But I hated it. I hated what it represented. It meant that my sacrifice was to glorify his ego, not God's. And I know that it's just disgusting manipulation, you know. It's just so disgusting. Endless. Endless. I could talk about it for another hour, you know. So long, you know. It's just example. Up to and including the girl that I invited, really nice girl named Rachel. You know, they all treated me like a meat puppet. They all treated me like a boy toy. So they wound me up and I walked out the door. When I think about my therapist, and my therapist was here yesterday, he's so adamant about not calling, and of course, he's manipulating him. That's the United Way. I asked the director if she would write Mike and Ari, and then I ran back in and said a bunch of other shit, and that was Quentin manipulating me because he didn't actually want her to write. And so I stuck my foot in my mouth, and when I think about Shakespeare and getting thrown out of that show, and he took Rachel from me, and then, you know, I guess I took all of his women from him. I guess that's like how, you know. And that was never my goal. So this is my problem, you know. It's my problem. Too celibate, you know. Too celibate. I couldn't see that his house was out of order. I couldn't. We all see the world through our lenses, don't we? You know, I said this in the scene that I wrote. That every character I write is me. They're all me. The movie critic is one of my characters. But I just don't see why, you know? It has to be this convoluted system of traps. Why? You know, everywhere I look, I'm just tired of feeling manipulated. Everywhere I turn, you know? I don't want to look at my phone anymore. I don't want to... You know, I can't read. I can't write. I can't work. It's just all sitting on me really heavy, you know? I don't know what tomorrow brings. You know, I don't know what the next few weeks will bring, but it frightens me a great deal. The thought of, you know, Hollywood exacting some sort of like mass ritualistic sadism upon me to kill me, to destroy me, because I couldn't see that he has a secret stepdaughter who like wants to be with me. That this movie's really fucked up, and you know all the women wanted. They wanted something to show for it, you know. I can't ever see that a woman wants me to justify their life, you know. Like this is like that's the cost of clairvoyant mastery, you know. It's the cost of, you know. But it stands to reason that if I had been a little wiser, if I'd been a little calmer, I could have seen, oh, I need to submit, because if this is how he treats people, then this is probably how he treats everyone, and they need a change, you know. They need something better. I was selfish, you know. I have nothing but regret over that. So while I can't do any of those things that mean so much to me, play guitar, sing even, I'll build a stairway to paradise. It just all seems so alien to me. Everything seems so, I don't know. But in spite of that, I can be in love. So, anyone who knows anything about Shakespeare knows that the first 17 sonnets are the procreation sonnets. I didn't say any of the things that I said to denigrate Quentin, to, you know, I don't know, manipulation. I don't know. It's like, is he getting what he wants? You know, it just upsets me so much when I think about it. How sick it all is. If it's all just like this exercise in cunning and evil and satanic Luciferian pacts for power and, you know, all these things. You know. But I said the things that I said. You know, I had my reasons, and I don't know if I was compelled to say them. You know, like this is why it's disgusting, and this is why it's a psychiatric case study, you know. But, you know, I've decided to read the 17 procreation sonnets, and I'll begin doing that in a second. I know that we'll never be free of each other. That's not how it works, everyone. And I do mean this when I say this. None of you ever loved him enough. None of you ever loved him enough to say, oh, Quentin, I think that, you know, you need to start reassessing the way you treat women, the way you see women, you know? And that's really sad. That's really sad that they said, oh, Golden Goose, Hollywood's Wonder Boy. How does he do it? When you all know, I mean, he's deeply fucked up in his mind. He's like really a miserable bastard who's like constantly anxious. Man, and I'm sure he does Mad Xanax constantly. I'm sure he's got a bunch of fucking drugs, and I would too, of course, you know, of course. I've been desperate to get high for a while now, like a week, you know, God, 2 weeks, you know. Not because I want to do drugs, but because we've become each other, you know. And so now I have a deep frequency violence. I don't know what he has. I don't know what I give him. You know? He wanted me to believe that Hollywood wants me to think that I have AIDS. You know, I don't know. You know, but that's why I said all the things that I said, because, right? there's the line in the sand, right? Like this is what he's been doing to me. What do you have to say about it, right? And so, here's the Bible. Put your hand on the Bible, and tell me what you have to say about it, right? And if they're not prepared to own it, spread your fucking legs and give me a baby, or you're a skank. That's like pretty much how I see that. I don't really know how else to see it. And so when tomorrow comes and goes and nothing happens and I'm still just like drifting in the wind, I suppose I'll just start printing out my essay and handing it out to people in person. And I know, like no matter what he thinks as far as like psychic bullshit, he can't overextend himself in that way. And if I have a mountain of these essays and I'm handing them out to people in person and saying, yeah, this is the actual truth of his movies, like there it is, it's disgusting, it's really sad, but right, viral, it's gonna go viral immediately, I do this because he needs it, because I feel that his women are being held against their will, because I feel that he objectifies women in an unhealthy, disgusting way. Right, I suppose there's no other pathway, right? And if we're still doing that by the end of the month, because my mother already said she's gonna fly me back out to LA, I'll hand him out at the Santa Monica Pier until he assassinates me. I don't really know like what else to do. I just feel like I've been manipulated into this corner to such a degree that I can't even not engage. That's the point. Like I tried to not engage, in a meaningful way. As soon as he said, "Oh, there's no daughter," in 2025, February of 2025, I've been trying to bring the world into the conversation ever since. Not because of anything other than obviously he doesn't want me in his family. He doesn't want to reconcile, and I'm not interested in having a disgusting, like, perverse psychic connection with Quentin and his entire family forever without the world understanding that this is how we all live, and like he's decided to live a certain way and he doesn't want to forgive me, and I don't blame him. It's his movie, right? As far as the role. And now when I think about that role, obvious, it's he couldn't have done it. And then it's him playing himself, and that's like too weird, isn't it? And so there's a great irony there, isn't there? That is why I wrote, isn't it? But not to play the role, to balance his family. That's the point. To give them all something to say, oh, this is what I got out of it. All of those women that like he did it to, like all those decades ago, right? They didn't do it on camera. I don't really know what else to say. I could cry. I could, all the things. As far as the women, as far as Mikey and Sydney and Margaret Qualley and Sophia. I assume that Sophia is the first one to see my material. Doesn't have to be weird, Doesn't have to be weird. Anyway, I'm hot for them. They did it. I see now. I see. It's not about a guy who writes about pornography. It's about a guy who does a bunch of disgusting pornographic shit. And so I don't, that's not what I do. Like I took my vow, but I'm prepared to forsake it, like if, right? Or we just all be miserable together, like I don't know what else to do, like I know that it cut deep when I told her family, like is this about his family? And like I just don't know. But when I said I don't want to see him, I know that cut deep, I know that cut deep. So I guess it's just a sick joke, like how can I write all the Tel Aviv press and no one's saying anything, like how can I write all these people and no one's saying anything, because I'm the only one not in on the joke, right? That's like, and so, right? I said it in one of the last emails I sent. I don't want to write anymore. I don't want to say anymore, but there's like a real part of me that's like, no, I think you need to just give me the 100 billion and you guys can like, you can just stay over there, I do love all of them terribly, and I want us to have a family. I know that's real magic, isn't it? You know, if like a psychic army of like hardcore super babies like comes out of that movie, you know, and that's worth breaking my vow. So, the procreation sonnets. From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should by time decease, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own blue eyes, feed'st thy light's flames with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies. Thyself thy foe, to thy sweet self too cruel, thou that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring. Within thine own bud buryest thy content, and, tender churl, makest waste in niggarding. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due by the grave and thee. When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow, and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery so gazed on now will be a tottered weed of small worth held. Then being asked, where all thy beauty lies, where all the treasure of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes were an all-eating shame and thriftless praise. How much more praise deserved thy beauty's use, if thou couldst answer? This fair child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse, proving his beauty by succession thine. This were to be new made when thou art old, and see the blood warm when thou feelest it cold. Look in thy glass, and tell the face thou viewest now is the time that face should form another, whose fresh repair if now thou not renewest, thou dost beguile the world, unblessome mother. For where is she so fair whose uneared womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? Or who is he so fond will be the tomb of his self-love to stop posterity? Thou art my mother's glass, and she in thee calls back the lovely April of her prime. So thou through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. But if thou live, remembered not to be, die single, and thine image dies with thee. Unthrifty, unthrifty loveliness, why dost thou spend upon thyself thy beauty's legacy? Nature's bequest gives nothing, but doth lend, and being frank, she lends to those are free. Then, beauteous niggard, why dost thou abuse the bounteous largesse given thee to give? Profitless usurer, why dost thou not use so great a sum of sums, yet canst not live? For having traffic with thyself alone, thou of thyself thy sweet self dost deceive. Then of thyself, then how when nature calls thee to be gone, what acceptable audit canst thou leave? Thy unused beauty must be tombed with thee, which used lives the executor to be. Those hours, that with gentle work did frame the lovely gaze where every eye doth dwell, will play the tyrants to the very same, and that unfair which fairly doth excel. For never resting time doth lead summer on to hideous winter, and confounds him there. Sap checked with frost, and lusty leaves quite gone, beauty o'ersnowed, and bareness everywhere. Then were not summer's distillation left, a liquid prisoner pent in walls of glass. Beauty's effect with beauty were bereft, nor it, nor no remembrance what it was, but flowers distilled. Though they with winter meet, lease but their show, their substance still lives sweet. Then let not winter's ragged hand deface in thee thy summer, ere thou be distilled. Make sweet some vial, treasure thou some place with beauty's treasure ere it be self-killed. That use is not forbidden usury, which happies those that pay the willing alone.
That's for thyself to breed another thee, or 10 times happier, be it 10 for 1. 10 times thyself were happier than thou art, if 10 of thine 10 times refigured thee. Then what could death do if thou shouldst depart, leaving thee willing in posterity? Be not self-willed, for thou art much too fair to be death's conquest, and make worms thine heir. Lo! In the Orient, when the gracious light lifts up his burning head, each under eye doth homage to his new appearing sight, sowing with looks his sacred majesty, and having climbed the steep up heavenly hill, resembling strong youth in his middle age, yet mortal looks adore his beauty still, attending on his golden pilgrimage. But when from highmost pitch, with weary car like feeble age, he reeleth from the day, the eyes, for duteous, now converted are from his low tract, and look another way. So thou, thyself outgoing in thy noon, unlooked on diest, unless thou get a son. Unlooked on diest, unless thou get a son. Could have memorized him. Music to hear. Why hearest thou music sadly? Sweets with sweets war not, joy delights in joy. Why lovest thou that which thou receivest not gladly, or else receivest with pleasure thine annoy? If the true concord of well-tuned sound, by unions married, do offend thine ear, they do but sweetly chide thee, who confounds in singleness the parts thou shouldst bear. Mark how one string, sweet husband to another, strikes each in each by mutual ordering, resembling sire and child and happy mother, who, all in one pleasing note do sing, whose speechless song being many, seeming one, sings this to thee, thou'rt single will prove none. Is it for fear to wet a widow's eye, that thou consumest thyself in single life? Ah! If thou issueless shalt harp to die, the world will wail thee like a makeless wife. The world will be thy widow, and still weep that thou no form of thee hast left behind, when every private window well may keep by children's eyes. Her husband's shape and mind, look what an unthrift in the world doth spend, shifts but his place, for still the world enjoys it. But beauty's waste hath in the open world an end, and kept unused the user so destroys it. No love toward others in that bosom sits, that on thyself such murderous shame commits. For shame deny that thou bear'st love to any, who for thyself art so unprovident. Grant, if thou wilt, thou art beloved of many. That thou none lovest is more evident, for thou art so possessed with murderous hate, that 'gainst thyself thou stick'st not to conspire, seeking that beauteous roof to ruinate, which to repair upon should be thy chief desire. Oh, change that thought, that I may change my mind. Shall hate be fairer lodged than gentle love? Be, as thy presence is, gracious and kind, or to thyself at least kind-hearted prove. Make thee another self for love of me, that beauty may still live in thine or thee. As fast as thou shalt wane, so fast thou growst in one of thine, from that which thou departest, and that fresh blood which youngly thou bestowest, thou mayst call thine when thou from youth convertest. Herein lies wisdom, beauty, and increase. Without this, folly, age, and cold decay. If all were minded so, the time should cease, and 80 years would make the world away. Let those whom nature hath not made for store, harsh, featureless, and rude, barrenly perish. Look, whom she best endowed, she gave the more. Which bounteous gift thou shouldst in bounty cherish. She carved thee for her seal, and meant thereby thou shouldst print more, not let that copy die. When I do count the clock that tells the time, and see the brave day sunk in hideous night. When I behold the violet past prime, and sable curls, all silvered o'er with white, when lofty trees I see barren of leaves, which erst from heat did canopy the herd, and summer's green all girded up in sheaves. Born on the bier and white and bristly beard, then of thy beauty do I question make, that thou among the wastes of time must go, since sweet and beauties do themselves forsake, and die as fast as they see others grow, and nothing against time's scythe can make defense, save breed to brave him when he makes thee hence. Oh, that you were yourself! But, love, you are no longer yours. Then yourself lives here. Against this coming end you should prepare, and your sweet semblance to some other give. So should that beauty which you hold in lease find no determination. Then you were yourself again, after yourself's decease. When your sweet issue you sweet form should bear. Who let so fair a house fall to decay, which husbandry and honour might uphold, against the stormy gusts of winter's day, and barren rage of death's eternal cold? Oh, none but unthrifts, dear my love, you know. You had a father. Let your son say so. Not from the stars do I my judgment pluck, and yet methinks I have astronomy, but not to tell of good or evil luck, of plagues, of dearths, of seasons' quality. Nor can I fortune to brief minutes tell, pointing to each his thunder, rain, and wind, or say with princes if it shall go well, by oft predict that I find heaven find. But from thine eyes my knowledge I derive, and constant stars in them I read such art as truth and beauty shall together thrive. If from myself to store thou wouldst convert, or else of thee this I prognosticate, thy endless truths in beauty's doom and date. When I consider everything that grows, holds in perfection but a little moment, that this huge state presenteth naught but shows whereon the stars in secret influence comment. When I perceive that men as plants increase, cheered and checked even by the self-same sky, vaunt in their youthful sap, at height decrease, and wear their brave state out of memory, then the conceit of this inconstant stay sets you most rich in youth before my sight, where wasteful time debateth will decay, to change your day of youth to sullied night, and all in war with time for love for you, as he takes from you, I engraft you new. But wherefore do you not a mightier way make war upon this bloody tyrant, time, and fortify yourself in your decay, with means more blessed than my barren rhyme? Now stand you on top of my happy hours, and many maiden gardens yet unset, with virtuous wish would bear you living flowers, much likelier than your painted counterfeit. So should the lines of life that life prepare, which this time's pencil or my pupil's pen, neither in inward worth nor outward fare, can make you live yourself in eyes of men. To give away yourself keeps yourself still, and you must live drawn by your own sweet skill. Who will believe my verse in time to come, if it were filled with your most high deserts? Though yet heaven knows it is but as a tomb, which hides your life and shows not half your parts. If I could write the beauty of your eyes, and in fresh numbers all your graces, the age to come would say, this poet lies. Such heavenly touches ne'er touched earthly faces. So should my papers, yellowed with their age, be scorned like old men of less truth than tongue, and your true rights be termed by a poet's rage and stretched metre of an antique song. But were some child of yours alive that time, yours should live twice in it, and in my rhyme.
I suppose I should end discussing Edward de Vere. I suppose that's appropriate. In the authorship question, it is believed by a great many of renowned actors that there is a legitimate intellectual
likelihood that the 17th Earl of Oxford, Edward de Vere, is the likeliest author for the plays and poems. Right? And so, the sonnets, 17 procreation sonnets, right? 17th Earl of Oxford. I invite anyone to look into the works of Alexander Waugh, W-A-U-G-H. That's the De Vere Society, which is run by Sir Derek Jacobi, one of the great living actors. Alexander Waugh is no longer with us, but I believe that he makes a very strong argument based on objective evidence, not on subjective innuendo. Right? Almost all of this, and this is something that academia is really wrestling with in a real way. That almost all of the scholarship on Shakespeare, it's not to say it's not without merit, but like Stanley Wells, all these guys, that the way they structure their sentences actually lends itself to reasonable doubt. Where they say, oh, might have been, or was likely, etc., etc. Like, this is how they structure all of their sentences. Right? And so if that's the game that we're playing, oh, well, Shakespeare likely lived here. Right, you can do the same thing with Edward de Vere. You can say, "Oh well, Edward de Vere actually had all of the prerequisite knowledge. He went to Gray's Inn. He was a trained lawyer. You know, he had access to all these books at Lord Burleigh's house, who was an inspiration for Polonius. He married Polonius' daughter. He married Ophelia. That's the joke. So, right, love my witches. I suppose we'll all suffer together. God bless."